Hey guys, this is PainUser,
And this is Sickness.
and we're bringing you another replay analysis. And this is a game between MouzStrelok and PwRElfi, and it's a TVP on Zelnaga Caverns. Elfi is the blue Protoss at the top position, and Strelok is our green Terran at the bottom position.
Yeah, that's right. And we have a special game for you guys here today. It's both of these players decide to do pretty unique builds, so it's going to be something you can add to your arsenal on the ladder.
Yeah, definitely. Both players with very unorthodox play in TVP, something you don't see very often from both players, and something that creates a very exciting game. This is one of the better replays I've seen recently, and I've been watching a lot of Strelok replays recently, and that's something I've noticed. It's definitely a mantra of his games lately. It's a very unique playstyle, but he almost always finds a way to just make it work and come up with a W. So look to see that from Strelok this game. I'm not going to tell you whether he wins or loses, but it's a very good game nonetheless.
Yeah, and we have, a pretty unique build from Elfi too. And it just kind of goes to show it's kind of they're both playing the Euro style in a sense. They have really unique decisions and unique strategies, and you never know what you're getting into when you play a Euro, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. Generally, you'll see a much longer a tit for tat, back and forth chess game between the top level Euros, and I love that about their playstyle. They always have great games, but I mean, occasionally you'll see cheese on every server. It doesn't matter which server you're on. It's super effective. It gives you a quick win, and especially if you're playing in a tournament like this. So. And right there, we've already got the first pylon going up in Strelok's base from Elfi. Strelok sending his first SCV to go scout. Looks like he missed that pylon, and you got a second pylon going up in plain view of Strelok. I don't know whether that's to secure the fact that the other pylon is going up in the darkness over here. Strelok obviously has not seen that. So this pylon within plain sight could just be a total diversion. Maybe he doesn't even intend for that to actually warp in units in the first place. But he is chrono boosting the warp gate upgrade right now. And he's also adding more gateways. And he hasn't built a single probe.
Yeah, he's cut probe production. He used one chrono on his Nexus, and then he saved the rest for the first Zealot and the warp gate tech. And yeah, I do think that pylon in the invisible sight of Strelok is, kind of just there to distract him, and make it so he doesn't see the one up top. Because all you need is one. And same goes with the other one on the left side of his base now. You see he's pulling SCVs to handle that. That's a good call. He might think that's the only one there. He might think, I mean, at this point he can't get cannons, but he's probably just thinking, when is he going to be able to warp units in?
Also, Strelok going straight for Marauders here and getting Conch Shell. But little does he know, Elfi has already cut gas, and he is just waiting to produce pure Zealots here. He's got his 3 warp gates finished. Warp gate tech is done. He's starting to warp Zealots into the back of the main, or rather the top of the main of Strelok. Strelok now realizing this, pulling his Marines and Marauders back. He does have concussive shells. A Zealot also coming to the front and starting to work on that supply depot, and he has a Zealot in the back of his mineral line taking out SCVs right now. This is a horrible situation for Strelok to be in, but I feel like he handles it really well.
Yeah, right now he's got a lead on SCVs to probes. He's at 20 to 13, but as we'll see, these Zealots are just so strong, and Marauders can't deal damage that fast, even though they can slow them down. The Zealots are still going to be able to, swipe down a good amount of SCVs. And what do you think? Do you think it's a good idea for him to be auto-attacking the Zealots with the SCVs, or do you think he should try to be microing them a little bit more? And
I think he should be microing them a lot more. But then again, in a situation like this, everything is so hectic. There's so many things going on. It's so easy to just miss a couple SCVs. And right now, the Harvester count, Strelok was up 18 to 14, and now he's down 14 to 11. He has lost way too many SCVs here, taking quite a bit of damage. And really, what he needs to look to do here after he takes out this pylon is look for a counterattack to try and equalize all of this economic damage that he's taking. Because really, he doesn't know how many probes Elfi cut to execute this build. He doesn't know where he stands right now. So he's also dropping this barracks immediately. He's pulled all of his SCVs off gas, just starting to mine gas again. Got the second command center going up, looking to take a very early expansion. I kind of agree with this play right now because against a good Protoss player, there's really no way for you to get up inside the main and do a ton of damage, especially if he has a sentry waiting at the top of the ramp.
Yeah, you know, he's just trying to push in, get a little scouting information. And as we can see, Elfi's back to chrono boosting probes, so he wants to maintain his lead. He ended up that early initial warp gate attack ended with 14 probes to 10 SCVs, so he did come out on top, and now he's just going to want to maintain his lead, and it looks like he's probably just going to, you know, build up his sentry count.
Yeah, harvester count at 20 to 15, 20 to 16 now, so still ahead. He definitely needs to take his natural expansion relatively soon, or he's just going to get way behind. Strelok going to get that second orbital up here pretty soon. Strelok just maintaining control of the map. He's also added a factory at this point, swapped that factory, and getting siege mode. He's also getting a reactor on that barracks. He can swap that reactor to a factory later on, start producing Hellions, and it looks like we're going to see a mech switch out of Strelok here. He's also got his second gas up and running, and he just dropped an engineering bay, so obviously worried about some kind of scumbag DT follow-up to that quick gateway warp-in tactic that he used. I wouldn't be surprised to see that from players. Anytime you get cheesed like that and the other player comes out ahead, he really has so many options. He can, well, if it's a TOS player in specific and it's Terran versus Protoss, I mean, he can follow it up with DTs, he can follow it up with a quick expansion, he can follow it up by adding another gateway and forgating you. I mean, there's so many different things here, and Strelok is really just covering all of his bases. He's getting early siege. He's dropping a turret at the bottom of his natural, slowly taking his natural expansion. He didn't go for it right away. The orbital command, his second orbital command has been up for quite a bit right now, and he's just playing it really safe, and I love that.
Yeah, and, you know, before he dropped the NG bay before he even knew that Elfi was getting a Nexus, and his SCV did just scout that he dropped a Nexus, and he scouted his army of mostly sentries. So I think ideally he could have even taken his Expo a little bit earlier, but he was kind of in the dark. You know, you don't want to play too aggressive or too greedy, because you never know if it's going to pay off or not. And it looks like Elfi's going up to 5 gate. Maybe we'll see a 6 gate here. And, you know, he's still a little bit ahead in probes, but Strelok does have 2 orbitals, so the income is going to be pretty even, if not maybe even in Strelok's advantage a little bit now. And we do see the 6th gate going down, so look, it's going to be Elfi putting on more and more pressure here.
Yeah, and Elfi was also able to get away with just building a ton of sentries earlier on, and they're just accumulating a ridiculous amount of energy right now. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 9 sentries right now, and they're all going to be just about full by the time they get to Strelok's base. And that's one thing that's also great about this switch to mech. He's also adding the Blue Flame Hellions into the mix. He's getting these siege tanks. That's one thing that's great. He will not be affected by those force fields. If he was just going with a pure Marine Marauder composition, he was going purely bio, I'm pretty sure this would just be an automatic loss for him. Elfi has cut probes at this point. He's no longer producing probes. He's saving chrono boost for those gateways. He has the offensive pylon, and here he's coming in, pressuring in with his 6th gate, looking to end the game right away.
Yeah, and he has, you know, so many force fields here. He's going to have to use those efficiently, but, you know, the tanks are good against force field. So we'll see how this goes, but
the tank's just shelling away right there, doing a ton of damage. Almost all of the sentries in the red, a couple stalkers severely wounded. He's just now realizing, hey, I need to add some zealots into the mix right now. I need something to tank all this damage. But Strelok wisely sends 3 Blue Flame Hellions around the back, knowing that this 6th gate is coming, and they're just able to wreak havoc on the natural right now. Meanwhile, Elfi coming into from the front right here with the 6 gate, doing a ton of damage. He really could use those Hellions back at the base right now, but I don't even think those 3 Hellions would have been enough to hold this off.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think that's a smart move, because look, he's roasting so many probes right now. And while his Expo is going to get taken out, he just needs to focus on doing as much damage as he can with those blue flames.
Yeah, absolutely. And now it looks like he might lose his natural expansion, and he does lose that command center. However, if we turn our attention to the income tab, it looks like Strelok is still ahead, actually, 27 to 18. Those blue flame Hellions did a ton of damage. And Elfi not able to get sight of the high ground, taking tons of damage from these 2 siege tanks. Great positioning from Strelok. He's going to be able to hold off this 6 gate. So the question really is, at what cost? Elfi intelligently goes for that armory that is so close to that +1. Strelok really needs that, but Elfi's going to be able to kill the armory before he can get that +1 done. Right now, Harvester count is at 28 to 23. Elfi able to equalize it a little bit. 28 to 21 right now. More Blue Flame Hellions going on a raid to the natural. Strelok really staying on top of things. He's harassing and defending at the same time. And really, he's just been all over this 6 gate. Most players will lose to a 6 gate from a competent player like Elfi. It's super difficult to hold off, and it's really tough to know if and when it's coming. It's very difficult to get that scouting information up inside of the Protoss player's main.
Yeah, that's right. You can always burn a scam, but it's going to be hit or miss. You don't know if you're going to catch all the gateways. And I would have liked to see Elfi push up that ramp right there. He could have killed and broken his front. He had 2 tanks there with maybe, what, 3 or 4 Hellions?
I think he might have had another tank stuck in the quad building wall he's got going on here.
He could have, but I think he could have broken that, because both of his tanks one was in the deep orange and one was in red. If you just poked the stalker up, he would have been able to kill both of those, and even if he only had 1 tank, he could have broken that wall.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think he could have won the game right there.
I agree. But he might have been able to just outright win the game. But then, you know...
But he didn't know, he didn't know what was on top for Strelok, so he's trying to play it safe. He didn't want to just lose his whole army.
Yeah.
So.
Not only that, Strelok never built a bunker at his natural. If Strelok had invested, 200 minerals in 2 bunkers, he had the Marines, he had the Marauders, he could have easily done that. And it looks like Strelok is going to go for a pretty aggressive push here. He's being pretty cavalier with his Hellions right now, trying to pick off a few Stalkers. Not losing any Hellions just yet. Sieging up his tanks a little bit out of position, I feel like. He could have been a little bit more aggressive there. He had the Protoss push back. And it looks like Elfi's going to try and push in here. He does have Blink, and Blink's right on top of these siege tanks. Do you think he's going to be able to take them out?
I think so. I mean, with Blink's... Oh, wow. All those siege tanks, how much damage do they really do? A lot. So, it's going to be hard to tell, but Blink is really good against siege tanks in siege mode. You can just blink right on top of them.
Yeah.
But if you look at the army tab, they have pretty even investments into their army. And... now Strelok's landing that barracks to get a little fortification going. I like that.
Very, very impressive from Strelok. Originally just using this barracks as a scouting tool, now using it to wall off his opponent's natural. That is absolutely brilliant. I think it's one of the first times I've ever seen somebody do that offensively and make it work. Look at this right here. The Stalkers blink in. They're unable to get into position to attack these tanks in the back, and he's forced to blink right on top of them, allowing these Hellions free reign on the natural just to go in and rip apart the probes.
Yeah, he could have moved up earlier with his Stalkers. He had to wait for the blink cooldown because of that barracks placement, so that's really nice. And now Strelok is just roasting all the drones he can see, and the supply is 41 for Elfi to 83 for Strelok.
The beautiful...
And now he's just finishing off all the probes
The
here.
beautiful part of that is not only did he use a barracks offensively, he used a barracks offensively and it had an impact on the game. That's what's so amazing about it. And it's the positioning of it, the timing of it. He also had that turret in the back just to prevent any kind of, drops or zealot bombs or anything like that, maybe a void ray. And I think that's really necessary if you're going mech, because you really have nothing that attacks air to speak of. I would have liked to have seen Elfi do some kind of air transition. He kind of went right for the High Templar, just tried to transition straight into the Templar archives, and I don't really know if that's the best decision or the best response to mech at all.
I don't think
I
so.
don't think Templar, and I don't think Templar. I don't think gateway units. I think a much better response would either be quick carriers, quick void rays, or massive gateway units and immortals. Those are like the three really good responses to mech that I lose to whenever I'm going mech. And it looks like Strelok just poking in and out with his Hellions right now, trying to do a little bit more damage, killing more probes. Turn your attention to the income tab, 21 to 44 harvesters, and Strelok's really just running away with this game at this point. And he was at a, well, not necessarily a huge disadvantage. He was still up on SCVs, but he very nearly just lost that game outright. He's been able to make a tremendous recovery and put himself back in a position to win this game.
Yeah, you know, he lost his expo, and he was on his back foot for quite a while, and he's finally, with that one push towards the end there, he finally, you know, got some room to breathe and finally was on the offensive for once. But yeah, I do agree with what you said. You know, the Templars, I don't know if I agree with that. When you're going mech, especially when you're going heavy siege, heavy Hellions, you have nothing to shoot air, and you know he doesn't have any barracks to shoot units. So if Elfie knew that and you know transitioned into void rays or something.
Your only potential option is as far as anti-air is concerned is Thors, and carriers and void rays both do very well against Thors. Elfie calls GG, Strelok calls GG. Hope you guys enjoyed this game as much as we did. It was a great back and forth game, and we'll catch you guys next time. This is PainUser signing out.
Yeah, thanks for watching.